Brandon, how are you?
I'm doing great, bud. Super excited for Treasure Island.
It's good. It was a hyped up stream just then.
Yeah, man, it is so much more polished and just better all around since we started the beta testing, and it's great. I'm really looking forward to everybody being able to get their hands on it.
So I think it's happened with all our beta features that you look at it first time, and as a tester, you're thinking they're not seriously going to release this. Uh, we've pivoted a lot. There's been a lot of changes, and so I'm stoked where it ended up.
Yeah, definitely. I think part of it too is, when you first get your hands on it for the beta testing, you're like, oh yeah, this is great, new feature, this is awesome. And then a day or two later, after you've had time to play around with it a little bit, you're like, okay, well this could be better, this could be better, here's a bug. And you just end up with just a lot more polished feature after, a couple weeks of people actually getting to play around with it.
Yeah, I think 2 weeks is the perfect amount of time because after that amount of time, players will become bored with the feature, and you can figure out what made it boring and how to keep it engaging. If on face value, you ask someone after a day, what do you think of this mechanic, this puzzle? Everyone loves it. It's after a week if they still keep coming back and playing. G'day, Romy.
Hello, how's it going?
Never been better, mate. It's to keep
Nice stream,
accounts.
by the way. You just finished one and jump into another one.
I know, mate. Thanks for that. I might save my voice for this session and let others speak up and take the mic. Mr. Carrot, welcome. How are you?
To Carrot. I'm very well, Adam. How are you?
Fantastic, man.
What I missed that last stream. What happened? It sounded quite exciting.
Can't stop, won't stop, mate. I did a surprise Treasure Island stream. So it was a bit impromptu. I think I gave a 5 minute notice and jumped into it. So if you are looking to get a preview, it's almost like a tutorial of Treasure Island, how it all works. You can go check out that on Twitch. We'll upload that to YouTube as well, just as a starting point for people to learn about Treasure Island. The Chief,
Yeah.
the Savior. Welcome, Craig.
Hello, hello. I'll just go chuck headphones in, just to stop any echo. So just be 1 second.
Sorry, Harry, I cut you off there. What was that?
Oh, I was just jumping into Treasure Island now, and it's just looking so good.
Surprisingly, I got 2 compasses during the stream, which is actually really hard.
I'll have to take your word for it.
It couldn't have worked out better, actually, because then I got to show what you could do with the compasses, which is
Yes.
crafting.
What do you do with the compass, mate?
You'll have to find out, man. You'll have to watch the stream. That's a special item. You can sell it for SFL, or you can craft a treasure map with it, which helps you earn more SFL, or you can craft a Heart of Davy Jones, which for those addicted treasure hunters, that's a must-have, as it'll increase the amount of holes that you can dig each day.
That'll be me.
So I think today, is there anything on the top of your guys' minds that you wanted to cover? There's one thing I did want to talk about, which was the updated roadmap that we published earlier this week. But outside of that, is there anything you guys want to cover?
Honestly,
I'm
I've
not
just been
paying
heads down on Treasure Island. So, apart from Treasure Island, that's where all my focus has been.
Yeah, I think we've been all focused on Treasure Island for a couple of weeks now.
I think, Adam, also your announcement was today or yesterday about, the team are focusing on the onboarding and initial progression before we start looking into the marketing side of things.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's a good segue into the updated roadmap announcement.
Yeah.
I'll dive into it. So, for people who've been watching our streams or listening to these weekly chats, it'll be no surprise what items we were working on and planning to. We've been working off that public GitHub board, which, if you go to the project section on our GitHub, you'll be able to see the art that's being worked on, that's being planned, that's on the roadmap. You can also see what features the engineers are going to pick up. And so we've just publicized this in the Discord announcements just so it's easier for everyone else to follow. I just saw then, so I haven't actually come back to this announcement. We got 372 highlights, which may be a record. I think my last post I did, I was getting some thumbs down. So that's a nice little turnaround there.
Yeah, you take that one.
You got to take the wins as they come. And so, yeah, what Harry was saying is we've got a lot of marketing planned and onboarding for new users. There's first some significant improvements that we want to make to the game. It's the game, in my perception, you show friends, you try to get them playing, and it's extremely difficult, whether it's the wallet onboarding or just stickiness of the first few levels. The engagement that we have right now is not as high as we want it to be. And so if we do go and do a big marketing campaign and get 100,000 players, for instance, how many of them would stick around is sort of that question. And so before we do this big marketing push and campaign, getting set up with your wallet has a nice clear tutorial for new players. Not everyone likes watching YouTube videos and reading docs. A lot of people just want to get into the game and figure it out. And then the third one there is giving enough goals and milestones for players to work towards. And so that includes new equipment, new buildings, new skills, expansions, and whatnot. Right now, the game has a lot of exciting content, but a lot of it is time restricted. Like if you go to Goblin Retreat, there's some really cool items you can get, but they're not quite in reach for new players, unfortunately. So while we are releasing a lot of cool content there, it's not accessible and it's not engaging those new players to the game. And so a lot of the work that we've got coming up is ensuring that we just make the game overall a lot funner and a lot engaging. So when we do a marketing push, we retain these players that come along. And we do have some good news on that side as well. Harry, I don't know if we've mentioned this before. It might be in the finance reports. Do you want to talk about the EMDG grant?
Yeah, sure. So we got given approval by the Australian government into the EMDG program. What is that? It's effectively a government program to help you export products overseas. For us, that means we've been granted a position in that program, and effectively up to a certain amount of money, we're able to retain. We get reimbursed 50% of those advertising or marketing costs. So over the next couple of years, we will receive about 35,000 Australian dollars in government funding to help export sunflower land overseas, outside of Australia, where the vast majority of our players are. So that's just a really good It's just a great thing for Sunflower Land that the Australian government can help give us funds to promote the game overseas. So to Adam's point, absolutely, we'll be utilizing this over the next few months to the best way possible to help onboard, bring on new users, and grow the game.
Yeah, so is that a partnership with Anthony Albo, mate? You've been having a few
Albo.
beers with the PM.
Yeah, I had to rub get into a few dirty circles, but no, it's just great to get that support.
Definitely. And so that's kind of where we are right now. The last two things we've been focusing on are just core feature mechanics, which was Fruit and Treasure Island. The next items that we're working on, there's new features, there's new gameplay, but the focus isn't trying to build this entirely new mechanic like fishing or magic beans. We're trying to improve the current game and make that super engaging. And so looking at the announcement here, we've got to fix one thing, which is improve that deposit system for the game. Unfortunately, there's still players that are sending bumpkin wearables to their farm address. That's not a huge task. We'll probably get this done within a week. The next one is multiple bumpkins. This is adding support for placing multiple bumpkins on your land. And so this is one of those existing, not problems, but just this ongoing request from players is that they've got a lot of these bumpkin wearables, but they can't wear them at the same time to get the buffs from them. And so this has been on the backlog for a while, and we want to get this done before moving forward. And so we're going to add support for multiple bumpkins. This as a whole will let us do a lot of really cool things on the land as well. It'll make it a lot smoother for people that do have multiple bumpkins. And if you're a collector, it's great for you because you can actually wear all the clothing that you're finding throughout the game. Next up, we've got farming equipment and buildings. So there's currently an open proposal on GitHub around this. This is definitely one for increasing engagement in the game, especially with existing players as well. So there's tractors, there's sprinklers, there's bales. There's a lot more things that you can craft and a lot more things that you can do. We've also got a bunch of buildings in there, like the lumberjack, the quarry, the composter, the tool shed. All of these give buffs to your farming experience. And so that alone is just going to have an immense amount of gameplay involved. Following that, we've got bonus expansions. So we've kind of been smoothing out and polishing the random number generator for finding resources on your lands. But we kind of want to do an overhaul of that and improve the system. Mainly one of the big things there is just make sure it's a lot more balanced, the resources that players are getting, and that players have the right amount of resources to collect the iron nodes and the gold nodes that they have on their land. While we're doing that as well, we're going to give players the ability to move resources on their land, which means moving your plots, the rocks, the trees, the dirt, and the grass. Hopefully within that one as well, we're going to add some nice decorations that you can put onto your land. That's not really a feature in itself. It's quite easy for us to add decorations. But now that you can move around your land, we want to give players the ability to put nice bushes, to lay paths, to lay fences, and things like that. That alone will just make your land a lot nicer to look like. And the added benefit there is that we're almost adding a design aspect to the game. So previously, where a lot of the gameplay focused around just on collecting resources and leveling up your farm, you've now got this added benefit where you can craft decorations and make your farm beautiful. And so we're kind of looking at that point that after 4, I think we're more than happy to start a heavy marketing push on the game, because there'll be a lot for players to do. It'll be a super engaging experience. And that's kind of where we're like, all right, let's bring on the world there. So those are kind of the 4 ones that I wanted to cover now. There's some proposals up on GitHub that please go check them out and give your feedback on. Once we knock those out of the park, we're looking at magic beans, adding some extra skills and the skill reset, and then fishing as well. So kind of like we get these core improvements to the game out the door, and then we can focus on some bonus game mechanics, which is like the magic beans and fishing. Whew. My voice is struggling after that Twitch stream. What do you guys think about this roadmap? What are you excited for?
I'm really excited for the multiple bumpkins, because I've got a lot of bumpkin wearables that are just sitting in my wallet right now, and just being able to have a few bumpkins hanging around on the farm, showcasing, you know, different outfits and stuff. It's gonna be really nice to look at.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be able to like organize my farm better. My farm is a mess.
Yeah, I'm excited for all of those things. Although I'm quite passionate about the onboarding experience. I agree with Adam. I find it difficult right now to recommend the game to my friends because I don't know where to begin. Like, I don't know where to begin with explaining it. This is people that have zero knowledge of Web3. So I'm really, really excited. I think that is like one of those last keys to kind of like opening the game up to more people. So I'm really excited to nail that down. And also decorating my farm. I think that, you know, I used to be a huge fan of like Sim City and like all of those kind of games where you're building and creating something, and I really took a lot of pride out of making things look nice. So I think yeah, that's going to be amazing when you can kind of like set your farm up how you want it.
Definitely see that. We've also got, I love like when we see this, we've had this strategy for a long time of what we're trying to achieve. The more we build, the closer we get to that. When we do start, we've always talked about this social aspect of the game. And so while we are building these roadmap items, for those that have been following, we also do free-for-all Fridays. And that is where the engineers work on an idea that isn't on the core roadmap. And so could just be cool, fun mechanics. It could be technical solutions. We've got a few of these on the way. One of those is Pumpkin Plaza, which is live right now. We're just, Harry and I were talking with the lawyers today, just trying to figure out how do we handle chat room moderation. So there's a bit of a blocker there that they're gonna create a code of conduct for us and get that into the game. But I really love this idea of the social aspect of the game. If you can go in, you can visit players' farms or their islands. You can see people who have put a lot of effort into designing their island. It's kind of, I was obsessed with Habbo Hotel when I was growing up. And I always remember meeting people out in the public, and it sounds a bit sus right now, but they'd invite you back to their hotel room and you'd go there and it was just decked out with cool stuff. And so I think that's a very similar experience that we want in Sunflower Land, whether it's walking around with your bumpkin, meeting like-minded players, and then going and checking out their farm, hanging out at their farm, seeing what cool items that they've collected, what they've crafted. I think that definitely adds a bit of variability to the game, that while you're not farming or while you're waiting for your beetroots, you can still stay inside of the game and interact with the players. On that, so I'll share this in the farmers chat as well. In that announcement as well, there is a link to the docs, which has the roadmap as well. And Also under there is the native PWA mobile application. So that's a task that Hanor's worked on. It's almost like a midway step to getting an iOS app or a Play Store app that we're actually going to merge this code in and hopefully goes live this week. But it'll make it easier for mobile players to add the app to their home screen, and just makes it a lot easier than trying to go through MetaMask browser or the crypto wallet browsers. So that's a step where we're trying to make it a lot more accessible and easy to play. We've also got the free trial as well. That's kind of been this ongoing project of mine in the last couple months, where players can essentially play for free without needing to set up a wallet for the first few levels. Then after that, they need to go through the process of setting up a crypto wallet and whatnot. The idea being, though, is that they can get started playing straight away and get engaged with the game and the community. And then that's almost like the incentive that, okay, I do want to set up a wallet. I do want to go through the experience of getting crypto or whatnot to play this game, which to me seems like such a good incentive. It's almost a sunk cost for a player. It's once they put 5 or 6 hours into the game to get to level 3, level 4, they'll put 30 minutes in to figure out how MetaMask works or to set up a wallet. So it's a very nice addition to the game there. A few questions here from Cirrus375 saying, are they going to go in order or it might switch up? Right now, that's the order that we're going to be approaching these in. Obviously, if feedback changes or we need to change our direction, they may change up, but that's what we're looking at the moment.
And we do have somebody with their hand raised now, if you guys are ready to go ahead and start taking some questions and comments.
Sure, let's invite them up.
All right, Izzy Buttons, I've sent you an invite, and just accept that and it'll bring you up.
I think one other one we can talk about as well while we're waiting for Izzy Buttons is the Valentine's Day event. I think that'll be an interesting one to cover. So it looks like Izzy Buttons might be a little shy on the mic today, or they might just be happy listening at the moment. We'll dive into this Valentine's Day event. You're more than welcome to pop up at any time, and we'll jump to a question. So the Valentine's event, this is one of the community artist-led events. We're not joking, the community pretty much runs this from start to finish, where they've got their own Discord server where they go off with a lot of planning, ideation, brainstorming, and then they deliver this mammoth feature of art and technical expertise as well. And so for this event, the community has got together and they've been working on a Valentine's Day island. And so with this event, you can visit this island and you will be able to find an NPC that you want to start almost flirting with. You want to give them some food, and in exchange, they will give you love letters. And so it's an interesting mechanic here that they'll be asking for food each day, and you need to go out, cook that food and give it to them, and they'll give you some love letters in exchange. And you'll be able to get some really nice items with this. There's going to be 3 separate decorations that you can craft, going from easy difficulty to hard difficulty. And there's going to be some Cupid wearables that you can earn from this special event. I won't be able to do it much more justice than what the artists have been putting into this. It looks amazing. The code is actually just gone in as well for the initial island. And so hopefully we're looking to launch this on Thursday. We'll add some docs for this, but hopefully Thursday and we're looking at a 10 to 12 day event for Valentine's Day. So there's a lot to do at the moment. There's Valentine's Day event, Treasure Island, and Fruit that are all recently new. So it's a good day to be a farmer at Sunflowerland.
Yeah, these community-driven events that we've had for like the winter holidays as well as the Lunar New Year have been awesome. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what everyone's done with the Valentine's Day event. And it looks like we do got a... Sorry?
I was just saying someone said edible NFT underwear.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it looks like we do have a bit of a line building up from people wanting to come up. So Super Synapse, sorry, I've sent you an invite.
Hey everyone. Yeah, so I did have a quick question, and it's more kind of like a time for you to talk about the farming equipment and buildings. I know some people have been talking about that in the farmer chat, but there is a little bit of a disparity between players who have a lot of NFTs and have been here for a year plus, and players who are just joining. Something I have been saying is there's a lot of new paths that are opening up. Like even if you just started today, there's new NFTs coming out for fruit that no one had abilities to, have boosts for until now. We've got fishing and, all the different animals, et cetera, et cetera. But I also think the farming equipment is a way for people to have more ways to see progress and achievement, without having to go to OpenSea and buy, let's just say, an expensive NFT. I kind of wanted to hear your thoughts on what the farming equipment and buildings would maybe do for, players who've been here for a year and a half and players who've been here for maybe 2 weeks,
Yeah, it's a really good question. And with all features, there's a lot of different player categories that we do need to cater. The OG players is a big one because we've been going for more than a year, and a lot of our players have stuck around that entire time. So we do have this sort of large OG community. In terms of these buildings and craftables, they're stackable with the existing buffs that you already have. There are also going to be some that are very hard to get. Like we're talking level 20 plus, level 34 plus for some of these buffs as well. So those are going to be a grind. Like if you're a player, you still got to be playing for 6 months or so before you can even attain any of those items. So I guess it's crux. We're going to make some items that are not just for new players to attain, but there's actually going to be some that myself, yourself included, we won't be able to craft yet. We need to grind to get to that level to be able to access them. So I hope that answers your question. We're just going to have a bunch of different ones that are available for different types of players.
Is there anything you can speak to about how, for instance, right now, some of the best crops to grow for OG players would be parsnips or cauliflower, but there are no current boosts for cabbage or kale or wheat or radishes, and how there's a lot of opportunity for new players to be able to build out the best path for those crops?
Definitely. I think there's a mixture there that we do want to add SFTs that give crop-specific boosts, whether they're unlimited items. We'll also release some more rare items. I think we've got the cabbage baby that's been sitting unreleased in the game for a long time that gives a cabbage boost. The short answer is we haven't designed these yet, but we do want to take this I think crop-specific paths are easier and more scalable to build out, where you can offer an item or a skill that players must choose to get bonus carrots or that bonus 1 cabbage, something that is a very big improvement on their farming ability. And so I guess you will start seeing a lot more crop-specific items that come out, which is great. You can tailor your your game, and you can collect a combination of certain items if you just want to focus on making cabbage cakes every day because you've got some wheat boost and some cabbage boost. I think that giving specific items allows players to come up with like emergent strategies, and that's the whole point of the game, trying to figure out what combination of items, what skills you should be aiming for to get your competitive edge.
And I don't want to overstay my welcome, so this is my last question. But when it comes to the OG items that were in SFF or in the early days of SFL, like the gnome or the goblin crown, the farm cat, the farm dog, do you have any thoughts on maybe your approach for how you want to build out those NFTs? You don't have to give specifics, but like how the team is looking at them, kind of your thoughts and like what makes sense, what doesn't.
The gnome and the goblin crown, there's no planned utility for those. I think they've always been a community meme around what they're going to do and how they're going to work. The dog and the cat, I can't provide an official stance on that because right now there's no plans for sheep in the game, and there's no rats in the game either. We are talking about having pets, and so hopefully over the coming week you will be able to read about a pet proposal, and that the idea there is that you can care for pets on your farm, and when they're happy they give you buffs. It'll probably make sense to squeeze the cat and the dog into the pet architecture because look, I don't see us working on sheep or rats in any time in the short term especially.
Okay, awesome. Thank you guys.
No worries. Thanks for the great questions.
Yeah, thanks for coming up. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to touch on, or can I go ahead and bring somebody else up?
Go for it.
All right, Just Jay, I've sent you an invite to come up and speak.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Yes. I was just wondering, like, I just have a few questions. Like, I want to know if the black or charcoal chicken NFT will come by, and I also have an issue with wheat right now. Like, I want if we have like a hay bale NFT or a rake NFT that will increase the harvest rate of wheat or increase the supply, because since in the long run, most people are going to have 2 hen houses, which is like 20 to 25 chickens if they have the coop. And you'd have to feed them with wheat while you also use wheat for cakes and sandwiches, which, is wheat is a high in demand right now. So I would like some kind of remedy towards that.
Good question. I'm going to pass this over to the chicken master, Spencer. Do you want to put this one?
The chicken master. Oh my god. Yeah, I don't like it. I mean, there does need to be some kind of solution here because, like I talked about last week, like I'm working on a cow proposal, and then cows are also going to require wheat along with. I mean, wheat, like even in the real world, is like, I mean, it's something that is used in a lot of places. So I do see the issue here at hand. I'm not too sure what the solution is, to be honest. I think definitely introducing some NFTs that can probably increase, either reduce the time to harvest or increase, the harvest of wheat in the long run. I think that is probably a smart way because we for sure want people to get involved in animal production, although maybe animal production isn't for everyone. But I think bringing in SFTs is probably going to be the best way to solve this. But I haven't thought about it too much at the moment, but it's definitely going to have to come on the radar because, like I said, I've been dealing with cows, which is definitely going to require wheat to do their thing. I don't know if anyone else has put much thought into this right now.
I'm currently running out of wheat right now. And if it's not an NFT, how about make it like the like the pair thing, the glass pair thing. I mean, I think it's like one supply out of everything, and I assume it's not tradable, right? So I hope like everyone gets some kind of boost, and not like a limited amount of people only gets that kind of boost at the moment. You know.
Yeah, 100%. We'll start the Save Just Jay campaign to make sure that you get enough wheat to feed your chickens, because being the chicken master, I don't want to see any chicken go hungry. So we'll definitely get that on the agenda for sure.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thanks for coming up. I do remember you had one other part to that question, which was the charcoal chicken, which is I'll butcher this name, but it's the ayam samani. And so, and that's been in the code base. We just haven't released it yet because Fruit and Treasure Island and everything. And that's on me. I just keep forgetting to launch that. Spencer, this might be another good one to talk about. Especially with cows, we've been floating around this idea of seasonal items. You actually see, for those watching the Twitch before, in Treasure Island, we discussed seasonal items which are available for a few months. I'm looking to launch that chicken as a seasonal item. So it'll be available for 3 or 4 months. That's the only time you can get it. And following that, there'll be a new variation of a mutant chicken as well. Spencer, do you want to... I think it's worth just touching on this idea of seasonal animals and some of the ideas getting tossed around with cows.
Yeah, for sure. I did mention it last week a little bit, but something that it first came out when Adam and I were going over the cow proposal, and I've been, and trust me, this proposal is coming out. Trust me, it's like been very busy at the moment, but I really wanted to implement breeding. And the interesting thing with breeding is at this stage, like the breeding system, it's not super advanced, kind of like pretty simple. You can breed, there's a certain number of tiers of cow, and you obviously need certain combinations to move up the tiers with your breeding production. But it's kind of like one of those things that once you get to the end, once you get like the thing that you're trying to attain, which is the highest tiered item, where do you go from there, right? Like it's kind of like, well, do I just keep breeding that item? So we started talking about like ways in which we could kind of like keep the gameplay going. So keep that loop going. So it's not like you just reach this end and then you're done with that part of the game. And a way we thought about, like an idea that popped up, was having these seasonal end goals, right? So like you have this legendary cow, for example, that you're trying to attain, but we switch them out every season. And so like each season you have to kind of start again. Like it's like you have this breeding empire where you're breeding these cows, but you're trying to get to this legendary cow, which has these really great boosts. And if you're into cows and that's part of your game strategy, then you'll be trying to attain this legendary cow. But every season, it's almost like the breeding resets. You have limited space in your barn, for example. So you kind of need to do some restructuring. You're going to need to think about what you're going to do with last season's cows, or whether you want to keep any of them in order to kind of prepare you for the next season. It was a great idea when we talked about it, and I've been working on this proposal a lot with a community member named Decol. And it started to become even more exciting the more we've talked about it, because it really does, like, this seasonal approach, it means that every season you can kind of rejig the game mechanic. Like let's say this season, like it didn't work, or something has come up and a boost that had to do with this or this is more relevant now, and so you can kind of switch out what you're having players work towards in the next season, rather than kind of being stuck in a game mechanic that needs, like if something is wrong with that mechanic, then you need to make this massive change to the whole thing. In this case, kind of like each season you have the ability to kind of like jig it however you want to. So that's kind of what we've been working with cows. But it's become relevant in a lot of other ways. Like in Treasure Island, we're having these seasonal rewards that come up, which again makes things kind of exciting. You have a certain, rate in which you might be able to get these items, but they're only for a season. And so like if one of those items comes up and you really want that, then you basically have that season to get it. Else you kind of, the opportunity is gone, and then you move on to the next items. But there's nothing to say that item couldn't come back in another season, which is kind of the beauty of this seasonal rotation, in my opinion.
Oh, that's awesome, mate. That's awesome, mate. I'm down for some cows, and I hope that gets implemented. And I'm very excited on the Siamese chicken, and I'm sure that you're very busy. You're very busy, so we'll keep on waiting. We'll keep on hoping, and thank you so much for everything.
Yeah, awesome. Cows are definitely getting in. I literally will walk out of this office if the cows don't get in. But keep your eye out on the proposals. They'll be coming. Give me the next week or so. It'll be coming out, and I'd love to see your feedback and hear your thoughts on what's proposed for sure.
Right on. So I'm gonna leave the stage. So I think I'm done for the questioning right now. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thanks, just little fun fact for those that don't know. Spencer is definitely the right man for the cow proposal. In a past life, he was a dairy farmer. I always love bringing this up because it seems so unexpected that a software engineer was an actual farmer, let alone a dairy farmer. So I think I was chatting with Spencer last week about this, and the detail that was actually put into this feature, it was like watching one of those sci-fi movies where they actually consult astrophysicists and all the details are correct, because I was learning, what was it, mate? It was like, I was asking a question around breeding. I was like, why can't that cow, why it doesn't give milk? And it's like, cows have to have give birth before they can start producing milk. And you're talking about like heifers and all these technical terms and what happens to cows. And I was super impressed, mate. So I'm excited to see that final proposal.
It's one of those things where, like, farming it can quite often be very far removed from the reality of everyday people. I mean, like, we all utilize produce from a farm, but it's very rare that we ever are faced with the reality of what actually happens on a farm. It's kind of like you go to the supermarket and it's like the supermarket kind of just keeps all of everything that was happened at the farm hidden. So when I was talking to Adam about it, and he was like, but wait, why can't you just buy this cow and it just gives milk? And I was like, well, it's a game, so we can do that, but like, that's not the reality. That's not the reality. I was a dairy farmer in my past life and literally love cows. I don't know if many people here have had stuff to do with cows, but they are absolutely beautiful animals, and super fascinating and just enjoyable to be around. So that's why I like and staking my job on the cows getting into this game.
I'm looking forward to it. We do got to jump off in a second, jump back into some feature work. We're going straight into the next items, which is the deposit system and bunk and wearables. This afternoon, we might do some final polish on Treasure Island. So we do got to get to that. I'm not sure if we have any time for more questions. Hockett, I do see your hand raised at the moment. We might have to wait until next week before we can come up and chat. Guys, is there any final notes or anything you wanted to leave with the community?
I just want to double down and say I'm also really excited for cows, especially I know there was some breeding mechanics kind of being spitballed and thrown around, and I'm really excited to see if that makes it through into the proposal on GitHub.
Love it.
Yeah, I just want to wish everyone good luck in Treasure Island. I hope to see some really rare rewards popping up in the chat. I think it's a super fun feature. And I'm excited to see how everyone receives it.
I've been a bit of a silent lurker this chat. It's been a pleasure listening, I must say. Yeah, it's interesting how much content is coming up and how fast we're getting through it. So stay tuned, everyone, for more content.
Yep. Same here. Just listening more than talking today. So just want to thank you all and see you tomorrow on Treasure Island.
Yeah, thanks everybody for coming to listen, and thanks to everybody that came up and had questions and comments and everything. You know, we appreciate all of you. We appreciate the feedback.
Right, thanks for joining, everyone. We'll see you on Friday at our Twitch wrap up.
See you later.
Thank you. See ya.
See you later, everybody.